Good morning, students. Today we will discuss something more about Japan. So here we are going to discuss about how the Japan modernized its economy. So modernizing economy, government raised funds by levying agricultural taxes. Japan's first railway line from Tokyo to Yokohama was built in 1870 to 72. So the major source of the revenue for the Japanese was revenue from the trade and the agriculture. So they started levying taxes from the agriculture. Apart from that, the first railway line of Japan was also introduced in 1870 to 72. Machines required for textile industry was also imported from Europe. Foreign technicians employed to train workers and to teach universities and in the schools. Japanese students were also sent abroad for the further study. In this way, we can see that Japan tried its level best to bring the Western technology to the Japan so that modernization of the Japan could be done. And Japanese students were also sent outside so that they can also acquire or learn new technology or latest technology from the European countries, and then they can bring it back to the Japanese homeland so that they can also modernize their economy. So that was the policy of the government of Japan. Then in 1872, modern banking institutions were also introduced. The government also helped the companies like Mitsubishi and Sumitomo, providing subsidies and tax benefits to become major shipbuilders. Earlier, Japanese used to purchase the ship from other countries, but now they started promoting their own industries. As a result, Sumitomo and Mitsubishi were the two prime companies of Japan at that time, and they were financed by the government so that they can become a major producer of ship in the shipbuilding. And later on, these industries were supported by the government and they became the huge multinational corporations, and these were called as the Zaibatsu. So these Zaibatsus were supported by the Japanese government, and later on now the trade was carried on from the Japan in their own ship which were made by these companies. The population also increased from 35 million in 1872 to 55 million in 1920. To reduce the population, government actively encouraged migration, and people migrating first to northern island, that is the Hokkaido, and it was large autonomous area where the indigenous people Ainu lived. You can see from the map, the population pressure on the Japanese mainland was increased, and that also led to the urbanization. And as a result, when this area was highly populated, so the population from this area was shifted to the other islands of Japan. Like you can see that the population was shifted to the Hokkaido island where Ainu minority community used to live. As a result, Japanese population pressure was decreased from the mainland, and later on Japan also set up its colonies in other islands in the Pacific Ocean, and the population from Japanese homeland, they were dispersed from here, they were migrated from here, and they were shifted to the other island countries which were occupied by the Japan due to the territorial expansion. And Japan made many colonies in Brazil as well as in Hawaii island groups, and the population was shifted over there. So you can see that then to Hawaii and Brazil, to the growing colonial empire of Japan. As industries developed, people shifted to towns. By 1925, 21% of the population lived in the cities. By 1935, this figure had gone to 32%. So apart from the population increase, there was also the increase in the urbanization. Urban areas developing very fast, and their population increased from 21% to 32%. And urbanization was developing because of the industrialization, and many new industries were also set up in the Japan. At that time, you can see that this is an image of a textile industry where maximum women workers used to work. Now we will discuss about the industrial workers, what kind of workers used to be there. And this is an image of a textile industry in Japan. You can see that maximum workers are the female. The number of people manufacturing increased. They were 7 lakh in 1870 and they increased up to the 40 lakh in 1913. So there was a huge increase in the industrial working force, and most of them were working in the units which were employing less than 5 people, and maximum works were done with the hands, not with the machine. So there used to be a number of small scale industries where such kind of workers were employed, and the number of workers were less than the 10, or it is 5 to 10. Over half of those employed in modern factories were also the women. You can see that in this picture it is also visible that maximum workers were the women. It was women who organized first modern strike in 1866. So the first strike for demanding the equality and the better wages was done by the women in Japan, not by the men. In 1900, number of men began to increase in the Japanese industries, but only in 1930 men outnumbered the women. So men outnumbered the women in only 1930. Before that there was majority of workers from the women class. The size of the factory enlarged from less than 5 workers to more than 100 workers. Means the industries which used to be very small scale industries, now their size also started to be increased, and we can see that slowly and gradually female workers became less in number and men workers became more in number. Then what happens after this industrialization? The rapid and unregulated growth of the industry led to environmental destruction. Tokyo is known for its pollution, and Japanese became highly polluted because of the industrialization of Japan, and there were many other environmental problems. As a result, many environmentalists started demanding from the government to control and regulate the industries, and one among them was this person, and his name is Tanaka Shojo. He was elected to the first house of the representative, and he also launched a first agitation against industrial pollution in 1897 with 800 villagers in a mass protest forcing the government to take action on this rapid industrialization. So he was the first environmentalist who spoke against the government, against the rapid industrialization and its environmental problems, and his name was Tanaka Shojo. Now we will read about the nationalism of Japan. Japanese people are known for their nationalism, nationalist feelings. So we will discuss here about the aggressive nationalism. The Meiji Constitution had created a parliament called Diet. So the word Diet has been taken from the German parliament because there was a lot of influence on Japan from the Germany, which was a western power at that time. And Diet was not given much power, it was having very limited power. Those leaders who restored Meiji government controlled maximum power. So those who restored the Meiji government after the arrival of Matthew Perry, they were having the maximum power in their hand, and Japanese parliament was having very less power. They founded political parties and formed ministries also. Gradually, they lost power to the national unity and cabinet formed according to the party line. So finally the power shifted to the National Unity Council, which was formed across the party line. So these are the political development of Japan. And we will further read about the aggressive nationalism. You can see that this is an image of Japanese army. The emperor was the commander of the army. Army was under the direct control of the Japanese king. Bureaucracy was also under him. It was interpreted that the army and the navy had independent authorities. In 1899, the Prime Minister ordered that only military generals and admirals could become the minister. It means the army personnel were made more powerful because now onward the civil administration was also given in the hand of the military commanders, and they could only become the minister who could make the policy for the government. So we can see that there was a lot of influence on Japanese government from the army or military forces. All these strengthened the army. The strengthening of army was related with the fear that Japan was at the mercy of the Western power. So why Japanese government made army so stronger? Because we discussed about the fear of Japan, that Japan was having a fear in their mind that they would be colonized by the Western power, like India and China was made the colony. As a result, they strengthened their army so that they could escape that colonization. Now westernization and the tradition. So when westernization was there in Japan, so they were losing their tradition. So what changes were taking place at that time, that we will discuss. There were different views on Japan's relation with the other countries. We discussed about the three kind of category. Some wanted a close relationship with the Western world, some wanted a narrow opening for the Western world, whereas some people wanted that there should not be westernization of the country. Some intellectual like Fukuzawa Yukichi, you can see that this is the image of Fukuzawa Yukichi, expressed the view that Japan must expel Asia. By this, he meant that Japan must shed the Asian character, become the part of the West. If we look at the location of Japan, it is situated in the Pacific Ocean, and the easternmost country of the world is known as the Japan. But now Japan wanted that they should leave the eastern countries and the part of the western countries. If the dividing line will start in the eastern side of Japan, then it will become the eastern country. And if that line will be switched over to the western side of Japan, in this way Japan could become the western country. So Japan would become the part of the western world. And why he wanted so? Because Japan was the first Asian country which westernized its economy, which westernized its culture, which westernized its trade. As a result, they also wanted to become the part of the western country, and this was the only imperialist country in Asia at that time, and it was a major power in Asia at that time. Rest of the powers were the western powers. That's why, according to the Fukuzawa Yukichi, they also wanted to become the part of the western world. Now, the next generation questioned this acceptance of the western ideas, means these people were against the western ideas, and asked that the national pride be built on the indigenous values. The philosopher like Miyake Satsuri, you can see that this is Miyake Satsuri, and these kind of people wanted that Japan should develop its economy, it should become a developed country, but it should at the same time also preserve its own culture. So he was different in ideas than the Fukuzawa Yukichi. Then there were some intellectual, like one we are discussing here. Many intellectuals were attracted to the Western liberalism and wanted a democratic Japan rather than a military one. So these kind of people wanted that Japan should have more liberties and it should not militarize its nation. Yuki Emori, his name is Yuki Emori, he was a leader of popular rights movement and demanded the establishment of a constitutional government. So he wanted that there should be a constitutional government instead of the military government. So his name was Yuki Emori, and he wanted such kind of liberal government which is working on a constitutional line. Finally, under the pressure of these leaders, Japan also introduced its constitution and it adopted its constitution. So that we will discuss here. He argued for popular sovereignty, spoke for the liberal education that would develop each individual. Freedom is more precious than the order, according to the Yuki Emori, and others also advocated voting rights for the women. So women who were also a working class in the industry, they also started demanding for the voting rights. Finally, under the pressure of these people, government announced a constitution for Japan. You can see that this is a cover page of the constitution of Japan. So Japan became a constitutional government at that time because of the pressure of these people. Now we will read how the daily life was transformed in Japan. So we will read about the daily life, how the common man used to live at that time when industrialization was there in Japan. So the patriarchal family system gave way to nuclear family system. Then new concept of family system had created new demand for new types of domestic goods such as houses and family entertainment. So the traditional family in Japan used to be a joint family system. It used to be a patriarchal family system where father used to be the head of the family. But now, due to the urbanization and industrialization in Japan, it became a nuclear family system where husband, wife and their children used to live. So it used to be a small family system, and as a result, due to the change in the family system, their way of living was also changed, and their demand for various kind of product was also changed according to the necessity. Like you can see that these were the domestic things which were used by the common Japanese family at that time, and a change in the family life could be seen in the urban areas due to the industrialization. So what were the routines of the daily life that we will discuss? The new middle class families enjoyed new form of travel and entertainment. Transport in cities improved with the electronic trams. You can see that this is the image of electronic tram which used to be there in the cities. So a form of entertainment, way of living was, everything was changed, and there was a better form of transportation available now in the Japanese cities, and the trams were most widely used for the transportation, and this is a specimen of that kind of tram which was used at that time. Public parks were opened from 1878 for the recreation. In Tokyo, the Ginza became a center of fashionable areas where fashion shows used to be there. The first radio station was also opened in 1925. Movies began to be made in 1899. So we can see that there was a lot of change in the way of living in Japanese people after the industrialization of Japan, after the Meiji Restoration, and a new technology was also arriving in Japan, and new form of entertainment could also be seen in Japan thereafter. Now we can say that the westernization of Japan was taking place at that time. So there were many voices in the society that how to come over this modernity, how to get rid of this modernity, because the society was becoming westernized. So what were the views of the people? In 1943, a symposium that is on overcoming modernity was held in Japan. Overcoming modernity debated how to combat the West while being modern. The same kind of movement could also be seen in India when westernization of India was taking place with the coming of the Britishers. How to preserve our cultural value. The same kind of question was also there in Japan, that how to preserve their cultural value, how to become deep rooted in their culture while being the Western at the same time. So that was a question. Maurice Saburo, which was a composer of music, questioned that how to rescue music from the art of sensory stimulation which has come from the Western ideology, and to restore it again to an art of spirit. So how to make it more indigenous? According to Maurice Saburo, he rejected the composition of Japanese music on the Western instruments like the guitar. Earlier, the music was composed on the Western instrument. As a result, the Japanese music was losing its originality. So he wanted to make the original music on Japanese instrument, not on the Western instrument. As a result, he composed his music on the Japanese instrument. So how to remain deep rooted in the culture, that was a major question among the people. The philosopher, that is the Nishitani Kiji, defined modern as the unity of three streams. First of all, Western thought, the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the rise of natural sciences. He argued that Japan's moral energy had helped to escape colonization. It was the duty of Japan to establish a new order, a greater East Asia. So Nishitani Kiji defined that modern means to adopt the Western thought, to follow the path which was shown in the Renaissance movement, and to adopt the natural science of Western culture, and to follow the Reformation movement which was conducted in the Western countries. So according to him, being modern, to adopt all these thoughts were there, But at the same time, he said that why Japan could not be colonized, it was because of the moral force of the people of the Japan. As a result, we should think as a substitution to the Western world, and we should create a greater Asia where Japan could be leader of the Asian countries. So he wanted to combat the Western countries by creating a greater Asia with the cooperation of the neighboring countries which were there in Asia. Now re-emerging as a global economic power. Earlier, Japan was having a hardcore nationalism that led to the confrontation with the neighboring countries, and finally it took a part in the World War and became a part of World War after its attack on the Pearl Harbor. As a result, Japan got a defeat at the hand of the American forces, and it was completely destroyed after the bomb which was dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So how it again re-emerged as a global economic power, that we will discuss here. Japan's attempt to carve out a colonial empire ended with its defeat by the Allied forces. Nuclear bombs were dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki to shorten the war. Under US-led occupation from 1945 to 47 was demilitarized and a new constitution introduced. So after the defeat of Japan, now Japan was at the mercy of the US forces and it was demilitarized so that it can never become a major power which could challenge the US and Western countries. Secondly, a new constitution was introduced and it replaced the old constitution. Article 9 of this constitution, that is the no war clause, means Japan will never engage again in any war of such kind. So no war clause was also added in the new constitution under the pressure of the America. Agrarian reforms was also introduced. The re-establishment of trade unions and an attempt to dismantle the monopoly houses, that is called as the Zaibatsu, etc. were put into practice. So Zaibatsu, which used to be large business houses which were supported by the Japanese government and banking system, they were dismantled by the America. Trade unions were allowed to be there, and an attempt was also made that there can be a free and fair competition in Japanese industry, and agrarian reforms were also undertaken by the America. Political parties were also revived. Earlier there was no opposition parties and political parties were having very less powers. The maximum powers were in the hand of the king because he was the commander of army and the civil government as well. So now the political parties were also revived, and the first post-war elections were held in 1946 where women voted first time. Earlier women were not given the voting right, only men were having voting right, but now the women were also given the voting right in 1946 election, which was conducted after the reformation which was done by the America after the defeat of Japan. Now what were the consequences of these reforms and how Japan became a major power in the world, that we will discuss here. So here we will discuss about the post-war miracle. The rebuilding of Japanese economy after defeat was called a post-war miracle. Its root can be seen in its long history. The demand created by the Korean and the Vietnamese war also helped the Japanese economy. So there was war in the North Korea as well as in the South Korea. Apart from that, there was war in the Vietnam, and as a result the Japanese goods demand increased in these countries, and that gave a boost to the Japanese economy, and rebuilding of Japan took place during that time. In 1964, Olympics were also held in Tokyo after are often said to a mark of the re-emergence of Japan. So Japan was able to host the Olympic Games in 1964. So that itself is a testimony that how re-emerged Japan. So it was a major economy by 1964 who could hold such a vast event. Similarly, the Shinkansen, that is the high-speed rail network, and it is called as the bullet train, have come to represent the ability of the Japanese to use advanced technology. So earlier there used to be trams only, but after the defeat of the war, within a few years, by the 1964, they introduced the bullet train in their country. So that tells us that how rapidly Japan made development in the field of science and technology, and how they modernized their economy. So here are some visuals of Japan. It is before the Second World War, what kind of transportation was there, and then it is after the World War, how they have transformed their economy. The problems of industrialization had its effect on health and environment. Cadmium poisoning was followed by mercury poisoning in 1960s. So a rapid industrialization of Japan took place after the defeat at the hand of US, but that also resulted some environmental problems like the cadmium poisoning and mercury poisoning, which took place in 1960s. Air pollution also caused problem in 1970s. In 1960s, that also witnessed the growth of civil society movement, which was against the environmental problems. Pressure groups began to demand recognition of these problems as well as compensation for the victims. So those who were the victim of cadmium poisoning and mercury poisoning, they should be compensated. So there was a movement against these kind of environmental problems, and under their pressure by 1980s the government took strong measures to regulate environmental issues which were faced by the common people in Japan. Now at the end, today as a developed country, it faces the challenge of using its all political and technological capabilities to maintain its position as a leading world power. So now Japan has become a global power as far as its technology and economy is concerned, but how to remain at this status, that is a challenge for the Japan, that how long it could remain in the same position as a global leader.